Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So all too often to drive sales, a lot of founders will offer discounts or some type of bonus, bundling, packages, and so on to accelerate their cash flow and to enable customers to purchase their offers at a lower price point. Totally fine. This is a valid strategy. It's worked for a lot of people. But I want to just pause and say, hey, before you offer a discount outright to accommodate someone's price sensitivity, hold the phone and think about this. Okay. There are a lot of things that you can do in exchange for a discount, or there's a lot of ways that you can extract value, I should say, while offering a discount, where it doesn't really feel like you're offering a discount anymore. It's like, how can I extract full value of my service, feel like I'm winning in this exchange, show up just as excited to serve this person, even if they're paying a little bit less in cash? And how do I actually make them happy despite the fact that they're price sensitive? So there's a way to accomplish this, and I want to get creative here. Now, if you offer a discount to somebody because they're saying, hey, can you do it cheaper? Can you meet my budget, my price point? Now, don't get offended and don't say, well, I can't really do that. And if you're stern and say, there's just no way I can go below this price point. If you want to say that, fine. But I think there's a way around this where if you can, if you know that you could accommodate their price, if there was a world where you could accommodate their price, one way you could do this is you make a discount contingent on referrals or actions taken by the buyer. And this is why knowing your margins is super, super important. Because if you know that if you sell something for $1,000, you make, say, 80% or $800 on it, then you know that I'm making $800. It cost me $200 to make this widget. I'm selling it for 1,000. And they say, can I do this for, $600? And you say, okay, it cost me $200 to make it. Therefore, I'm only going to make 400. I'm making half my profit. I don't like that. Right. So you can actually establish where your kind of tolerance is. If you know your numbers really well, you know what your tolerance is of the lowest price you can reasonably accept before you're losing money. But that will give you some flexibility if you also know the value of a customer referral, the value of a new customer, and the value of basically how much it costs you to acquire audience. Because if somebody is willing to refer you to someone else, depending on what type of business you're in, if somebody's willing to make, warm referrals or warm leads, and you say, I'll offer you this. Let's say your product is $5,000 and they say, can I do it for 4,000? Say, I can easily do this for 4,000. But here's the thing. I need 3 names of people or 3 warm connections, or I need you to post this thing, maybe if they're influential, whatever that looks like for you. So whatever way this person could add value in a non-financial way to you by making introductions, finding other clients like them if they're an ideal client, or just helping you get connected to those people faster, that is worth its weight in gold, because think about your customer acquisition cost. If they can eliminate the next customer's CAC, if they can eliminate the customer acquisition cost of your next customer, and you know what that number is, then that could be hugely lucrative for you. So it's actually worth the investment of accepting below what your typical price tolerance is. So it's understanding your numbers enough to know what is the lowest point I can go to accept for a price point, but also what is the desired action? What is something that is hugely valuable to me? So if my customer acquisition cost is very high, then I would highly value a customer referral that comes direct, because what you've done is save me a lot of Facebook ads. You saved me a lot of outreach. You saved me an entire salesperson for a week, you know? And if you know what that cost is to acquire a customer and they've saved you that much, then you've gained that back in margin value. And you have to think about that. And not to mention your time and your team's time and the energy it takes to acquire a customer. So if you're acquiring customers one by one, this is huge. If they can make a warm intro for you and you know that this is a good fit, then I think it's going to go a long way, especially if you're in a high touch, high referral profession like professional services or home contracting or things like that. If you work in contracting and you're like, let's say a handyman, and you go out and you say, hey, I can absolutely discount this price for you, but I need you to tell two of your neighbors that you used me. And I need you to share my business card with them, or I need you to share this little post I did with your neighbors and say how much you enjoyed working with me. Now, obviously, this is contingent on them actually enjoying working with you. You do not want to kind of blackmail them into saying nice things about you if you didn't have a good experience. But I've seen this all the time. Restaurants will give you, say, a 10% discount as a thank you for writing a nice review on Google or writing a nice review on Yelp, because they know that people will go to these resources to make recommendations, to find recommendations, and trust the word of these reviews. So if you go and say something nice, they might say, hey, as a thank you for your nice gesture, we'd love to offer you 10% when you come back into the restaurant. Amazing, because clearly I already love this place and this is just a, icing on the cake. So if you can do something similar to that where you can incentivize someone to be a repeat buyer, incentivize somebody to buy from you through a discount, but also understanding that when someone is price sensitive, that you can offer said discount in a creative way that maybe doesn't actually hurt your cash flow as much in the long term. Because I think a lot of people jump to offering payment plans or offering discounts solely because somebody asked for it. And you realize that I'll still be profitable. So, like my $1,000 thing, I could still offer it for 600. I can still make my $400 and I could move on. Okay, fine. But what if you could make that 400 and get two other hot leads to sell? It doesn't take much energy for that person to go ahead and do that as reciprocity to you for offering that discount. Also, it does kind of train you to, acquiesce to these types of discount requests that come up. And you really don't want to make that a habit because it devalues you. What you need to do is make it clear that you can't simply reduce price without getting something in return for it. And that's the most important aspect, is that you have to value yourself and value your offer enough to realize that people just can't get a discount for free, that you can definitely do something non-financial to earn a discount. You have to understand in your business, you have to be a master of what are the most lucrative ways that somebody could support me in my business. That is one of the best questions that if you have the answer to it, you could be, making bank and you could be doing really well with your networking, because you can show up in networking events, you can show up in mastermind groups, you can show up in groups of friends and entrepreneurs. And if they say, how can I support you? Do you know how many times people ask, how can I support you? And I've just realized that a personal referral for my services, if this person's worked with me or worked with one of my clients or seen what I do, a personal referral or a name of someone who could use my services, probably the best thing I can ask for. So that has become my consistent ask, right? Is if you know anyone who's trying to exit a business, and you know anyone who's just struggling with their financials, maybe they're frustrated at tax time, got a surprise tax bill that they're sick of, you know, send them my number. And somebody will hear that, somebody will remember me and do exactly that. But when someone says, how can I support you? You got to be ready. And you got to know how to answer that question really quickly and know what the valuable non financial asks can be that you can then pose to a client, pose to a prospect, especially when they ask for a discount. And you know what the highest value thing is that they can do for you that's non financial. When it comes to scaling your business, your core offer is the foundation of your success. If you're finding that your margins aren't exactly supporting the cost of running your business, well, it's worth taking a closer look at your pricing strategy and your direct costs to hack it and figure out what your constraint is. Sometimes all it takes is small adjustments, like fine-tuning your pricing or streamlining your expenses. These can make a huge difference. Join me for a power session and let's dive deeper into the profitability of your core offer. All the information is in the show notes below.